a serene, with a serene smile, gently raised a hand to quiet the room. And he said, "Ah, Oakley, love your enthusiasm. It's admirable. But first, let's consider the value of those who are already among us." And with that, the elder willow shared a tale from the past. Years before, we had many new members. The club realized, however, that maintaining a sense of unity and commitment among the members became increasingly challenging. For you know why? Many new recruits initially are enthusiastic, but they lack the deep connection and understanding of the club's core values. For it takes time to nurture a new member, time to educate them about the mission, to integrate them into the community, and you know what? To build trust. Meanwhile, existing members already embody these principles. They are the backbone of your club, the ones who uphold tradition and drive initiatives forward. Oakley thought about this for a while, and he realized and saw the wisdom of elders' words, because he realized that current members not only mean preserving the club's culture, but leveraging their knowledge and experience, for they already are committed to the cause, and they require less effort to motivate and engage compared to the new recruits who may need more resources to become fully integrated. So today, retaining current members, that is the calling, because maintaining them means stability, continuity, and a strong sense of community. So today, we will talk about a deeper member engagement, enhancing leadership opportunities, and celebrating achievements together. Sound reasonable? Yes, no?
Sounds good to me.
Thanks, Mary. All right, let's move forward, please. Go back one, please. All right. Let it be said that all members are a little different. There are newbies, there are seasoned ones, some are informal, some are goal-oriented, some are really energetic and want to move this screens faster and faster. So just be aware that members are different. Go ahead. When I say they're different, think about generational differences. This is a fast snapshot. Even in communications, when you think about the silent generation, when you think about those people who have been a long-time member of Toastmasters, they love a face-to-face. They write letters. They have a more formal communication. And as you move down through the years, whether it's Generation X or millennials, people start texting. They start using social media to communicate. And even Generation Alpha, which is now the 2013s, the 2025, the new ones that are coming in because their bosses are saying, "Oh my God, go learn how to not do and you have to do a toast." They want to talk on their smartphones. They like virtual reality. So be cognizant of who's in your club. And as you move forward on this, please go forward. Remember, as a result, each club is going to be different. It's not just who the members are, but your club size is different. Do you have 8 members? Do you have 40 members? Are you hovering at 20? And how formal or informal is your club? Can you run tightly? Are you energetic? And what kind of distinguished rating do you have? Because the higher your distinguished rating, the more engaged your club might be. So let's create an experience. Tony?
I'm in.
When we talk about creating an experience, think about when a new person comes to your club. Do they have a welcoming feeling? Can they be aware of what's happening and not guessing? And the way to do that is to have someone adjacent to them, sit next to them if it's an in-person meeting, or perhaps a chat if it's a hybrid meeting and they're online. Don't leave them guessing. Make them feel special. And for those new people, when they do an icebreaker, whether it's good, bad, or just horrible, think about standing up and applauding for them because they took a step forward in courage. They stood up there and embarrassed themselves or did themselves a great service. Either way, you're creating an experience that's a feeling, and nobody can take away a feeling. In addition to creating an experience, think about perhaps needing themes for 90 days. I know, Linda, you do this in other clubs, but what it does help is it helps identify topics for speeches. Table topic masters don't have to burn their brain. What am I going to do next? Did I get a hold of the Toastmaster? Do I know what the theme is? The grammarian knows early on what kind of a word would be appropriate. But more importantly, when you create a theme, it gives the Toastmaster an opportunity to think about what they can do. Some of you know Sherri Thomasula. Sherri Thomasula is a DTM, and she's in a number of clubs. One of them is Sunrise Speakers. I have seen her show up as a July 4th mystic. I have seen her show up as Abraham Lincoln. In other meetings, I have seen people do backwards meeting. It keeps people on their toes. They laugh. And as you create this experience and you move forward, you are helping people be involved. Linda, I'm going to ask you to join in as I do this with me. In addition to creating an experience, one of the things that we need to do is member goals. When I joined Toastmasters a number of years ago, I could stand up and talk to a room of 500 people without a problem. But you know what? To be intimate with 8, 10, 20 people petrified me. My goals have changed. Never once in all the clubs that I belong to has anybody ever asked me what my new goal is. How could that be?
Yeah, Sherri, that's an interesting point that you make, because I don't think anybody's ever asked me either.
And have your goals changed?
Yes, they have changed significantly. My first goal, as you heard, was to have people to talk to, because Peanut just wouldn't making it. Yeah. Soft, fluffy, lots of kisses, but wasn't helpful when it came to all those letters I was using trying to find a job.
And have the clubs that you've joined changed with your goals changing?
I think it's my tenure more than anything. In the various clubs that I am in right now, I see what you've said. There are generational differences, which I love. It is so fun to see everyone across the board around the table. And my experience as a club officer and as a district officer has been very fruitful in my development. So why am I still here? Well, Kathy said it in my introduction, is because of the people. What would be next for me in my Toastmasters journey if it's really about the people? And that's mentoring. Okay. So there's a big difference between leading and mentoring. Big difference. So your
goals have changed.
They have changed.
So by a show of hands, how many of you have had goals that have changed? Mara, you've been in a club for a long time. I mean, is there anybody on here who has not had their goals change? Jean Cassidy, you have gone from a member to our district leader. Jean, how have your goals changed in a club? Are you on mute, Jean?
I'm here. Hi. How my goals changed? Well, it's really interesting that you would say that, because I am a member of several clubs, like a lot of people on here. And my goals are sort of twofold. One is because I am a member in several clubs, I want to make sure that each club gets at least one educational award from me. So that requires me to be in several paths at a time and to continually do speeches. As a district leader, I try to use pathways as a way to help myself with those speeches. so that it's, instead of it being two separate directions that everything's going in, everything sort of leads to the same place. Being able to hopefully inspire this new team that we're, and this new leadership in this year, and then also being able to help our members grow and show them how pathways can work and should hopefully work for you.
So
I
here's an
would say
interesting
that
thing. Here's what I
I've tried to,
take. I'm sorry. Here's
oh,
what
I
I
was
take.
just,
Here's what I take from Jean's comment. She's self-directed. How
Yeah.
many of your members are self-directed, or how often do you check in as a leader or as a member to see how your membership has changed their goals? Another question. How many of you, by a show of hands, have lost members because they have moved? They have achieved what they're doing, they've gotten promoted, they've moved along. A few of you? Instead of losing a member, what about, have you recommended they transfer their membership? Anybody call it out? Have you done that?
I have.
Oh, good.
We had a new member, came, was doing pretty well. Was still needing some improvement, but he did get a job. Yay! Which meant he couldn't have a meeting during the daytime. And of course, I'm all about building clubs that I know and love. And I suggested he join this was a Motivation Masters. I suggested if he was available in the evening to join an evening club. And that club is hybrid and they meet every other week in person in San Clemente. And he has joined that club, oh, I don't know, back in December, January. And I have seen him change already more than his first 6 months. And he is now our VP PR. It works.
It works.
Sherri, you have Holly has her hand up.
Please, if you'll take me off spotlight, I'll be able to see people. I'd appreciate it.
No, I'll okay.
Oh, excellent. Okay, Holly. Unmute and tell us.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, we have people coming in and out of our club, and I do encourage people to do that. And looking for clubs for them as well to help keep supporting them. Thank you.
Oh, excellent. And what club are you a member of, or which clubs?
I am a member of Tracy Toastmaster up in District 39. I'm working towards helping out this district as well with Jean. So I'm looking forward to attending more of these kinds of meetings with you all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And there's no right or wrong with these goals. We're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about stimulating loyalty. And quite frankly, we're going to throw a dozen ideas out. And if you walk away with 1.5 ideas that you can use or manipulate and train something else, this is going to be a win for you and for us. So one last thing on this particular page is, has a member ever lost a job and not wanted to show up? We've had several of those people, particularly before the pandemic and after the pandemic. And if they were embarrassed and there were budget issues, did you address it? I don't even need an answer from you at the moment, but think about that. When somebody falls by the wayside, why did they fall by the wayside? Is there something you can do? Is there something you can encourage? Is there a way to keep them? And we'll come back to that. But I just want you to think about that for a moment. And so this is just the 3 things for the member goals. And if this presentation is of value to you, it will be in the chat, or you can certainly have it afterwards. And both Linda and I and anybody else on this call, I'm sure, will answer questions for you. The balance of this presentation is about stimulating loyalty. And again, please call things out. And I have lost the screen. Tony, is that you or me? All right, stimulating loyalty. Celebrating membership accomplishments. Here's a couple of ideas. In Wine on Wednesday, when we start out, we talk about what happened. We go around the room and we say, what happened? And Hui Shen, who is a well-spoken individual, surprised me a couple of months ago. And she said, I didn't realize how fluid I had become with speaking. And I was able to cajole people into doing things without sounding snarky, without sounding like I was beating them up. It was just something I had learned at Toastmasters. When you ask for an accomplishment because they are a Toastmaster, it doesn't matter if it's in Toastmasters or it's outside. When somebody asks a question of you, how quickly can you answer it? Does it roll off your tongue because you've practiced? Those are the kinds of things we want to hear. Another club that I've attended when I was an area director and a division director was they went around the room and they said, please stand up and tell us what happened in your kitchen this week. What do you mean what happened in your kitchen? And I couldn't believe it. 21 people stood up and in under 30 seconds they said, oh, I burned the toast. Oh, I made tea. Oh, I scalded something. I set off the fire alarm. But they said, hi, I'm Sherri Horowitz and I did X. Linda, do any of your clubs do something like this?
We do. We do that in Laguna Beach Toastmasters. Every week we come in and our Sergeant at Arms actually does that before he introduces the president. He opens the meeting, we do the pledge, he gives us a question of the week, and the question of the week might relate to the theme, and we go around the table. And what's cool about it is we all get to chat if we know each other, but our guests have their first opportunity to say something with their name and whatever the story is. And our new members have their first or second opportunity to chat. And then as we go through the meeting, everybody has more and more opportunity, but they're more relaxed. And it's easier for them to want to stand up.
And everybody has an opportunity to speak. So they're part and parcel of the meeting.
Yep.
Right
Just
up
go around
front.
the table.
Right up front. Nari?
Yep.
Anything ring a bell so far for you with this in any of the meetings you go to?
Are you asking me?
I am.
Oh, yes, yes. We usually start our meeting with the question of the day, just to warm up, or for any guests, we know about them and let the guests be comfortable. And actually our club is very engaging and I really, really like our club.
And the name of your club is?
What is it again?
The name of your club?
It's Tongue Tamers.
Yes, okay.
Tongue Tamers, and I learned so much. And I just encourage everyone just to show up and see their own how far they can go.
Yeah, and that's what keeps people coming back. So
yes,
there is something called a free toast host. It is some of you use it in your clubs. You have the ability to publish an accomplishment on the website, but you also have the ability to talk about an accomplishment. Where notes your accomplishment. I know that sounds funny, but you know what? When you tailor the recognition to each member's preference and personality, members might appreciate that public recognition. But you know what? Generational differences, somebody might prefer that private acknowledgement. That could be, even if you are a 20-something, write a note, write a text. Let them know that you appreciate how far they made in their accomplishment. So as we move forward on stimulating loyalty, I was at a club the other day at the end of the year, and they did something that warmed, quote unquote, the cockles of my heart. They have a plaque, and every year they vote on who is the best Toastmaster of the year. This one particular winner was the Sergeant at Arms. And what they did before they awarded this honor to her was they read off the last 18 years of winners. And you know something? 17 of the 18 people were there, and you could see them blush. You could see them hang their head. You could see them preen. They were all really proud of the fact that they had won this in the years past. They also prominently display this plaque at all meetings. It costs nothing but 5 minutes in the meeting. And everybody was really proud. They are part of a family. If you recall, a few minutes ago on a slide, I said, was anybody not coming to a meeting because they had lost their job? Many times clubs have a balance and they could sponsor a needy individual. Linda, of all the clubs you belong to, I know Wine on Wednesday doesn't have a checking account, but do any of your other clubs have enough money to sponsor somebody for $60?
Absolutely, my home club does. And that is the club where I find many members join Toastmasters because they are out of work. It's a good skill to learn. And then when they get their job, it takes them away. And that's usually just logistics. Others are working and they lose their job. There have been a couple of times when that person left, and I don't know that it would have been financial, but we do have the wherewithal, and we have had discussions in terms of a scholarship, if you want to call it that, like a Toastmaster scholarship to pay a term of dues, $60, which is not a lot of money in the big scheme of things. And it helps a whole lot to know. It gives us the freedom to talk to these people and ask them to stay and join with us as we go into the future and continue to be part of our family.
Yeah. Has anybody that's on this call participated in a community event as an entire club? You just speak out.
I have a comment on your previous scholarship mention.
Please.
It is not legal in the
Not
code
legal.
for a club to pay the dues of a member.
Not legal.
However, if it's done anonymously, is that
Nope.
possible?
If the members get together outside of the club funds, then it's okay.
Thank you for that clarification. And since you put your hand up, I have a question for you, Dr. Diana D.
Okay.
One of the clubs, and thank you, Linda, saying so true in the chat. One of the clubs that I attended as an area director had a person every week as a role, as a hot seat member. They never knew until they showed up who wasn't going to show up. If a speaker was missing, if an evaluator was missing, if a timer, an accountant, or a grammarian was missing, they delivered the role for a vacant seat. Have you ever done that at a moment's notice, Diana D?
Of course, most of the time that I don't get assigned a role, I get assigned a role at the meeting. Is that what you mean?
Yes, but the suggestion here is, what if you made this a role when you ask people to sign up the week before or the month before?
I would think it, except for being a speaker, I would think that it would be about the same as signing up for any particular role.
We encourage you to give it a try. It means that person has to show up. It's a pivotal role. It's very important to the process.
We did have for a short time a role called hot seat speaker, that you would come with a speech pretty much prepared, and if one of the speakers didn't show, you would be a speaker.
Okay.
But you knew it was being a speaker ahead.
Okay.
Achievers Toastmasters has a backup speaker for every meeting,
And does that person show up all the time?
most of the time.
If I might have an input
Please.
as well, the way we started doing it at our club is that speakers are encouraged to schedule their speeches weeks in advance. And let's say this week we have a list of speakers, and the backup speaker is by default one of the speakers of next week. And through this, we encourage preparation way ahead of time. So if you sign up for a speech for 2 weeks from now, that means next week you're gonna be ready to deliver it. And we have been pretty successful so far. We're just building the culture.
So do you find by doing that the person who is prepared this week, because they're going to give a speech next week, gives a better presentation?
It's too early to judge, but
Okay.
I know what we're building in. We're building in the discipline and the loyalty of, hey, I made a commitment in 2 weeks' time, but I'm gonna need to show up and execute if needed this week.
I think that's excellent. Anybody else want to have a comment on this?
I don't know what's happened in my club and why that has never worked, unfortunately. I started out as VP Education and assigning a backup speaker, and invariably, one speaker would drop out. I'd go to the backup speaker and say, okay, are you ready? Oh, no, I was busy. I can't do it. And it's just never worked. So I actually have stopped doing it. Maybe I need to, as your note said, build that more into the culture. But for some reason, it's never worked in my club. I don't know why.
I'm hearing a small tweak. It's like when you sign up, you're signing up for being available for 2 weeks in a row. And that to me is a little different than being a backup speaker. I don't know, maybe it's the words, maybe it's a vernacular.
Well, and that's what I put it as, that the backup speaker, okay, if you don't speak this week, then you are the speaker the following week. So it is the same concept, but for some reason they still just weren't ready. And I don't know, but I'll give it a try again and see, but I just haven't had good luck with it. And I hear other clubs talking about it and it seems to work. So I don't know what we're doing wrong.
Linda V, what were you putting in the chat, please?
Holly also has her hand up.
Put the name of the backup speaker on the agenda so there's a commitment level there.
Yeah, and I've done that, but it just still, we're not getting the commitment for some reason. Yes.
Maybe you should invite your notes to your meeting one day to give a talk about how this works.
Or maybe I'll just make your notes the backup speaker. And your notes, you're on. Take it away. Good plan. Thank you. That's my takeaway.
Kathy, who else were you saying had their hand up, please?
I do.
Holly.
Holly, yes. So one of the things that I've learned for myself is looking at it as a impromptu or a longer table topic, session, because it's just another, 2 or 3 minutes. So if you have an idea, and there's no excuse, because then you can if you have ideas of what you want to do to talk about, then you're able to at least get an outline going. And then the next week you've already prepared. So it's one of those things that I've used my same speech 2 to 3 times, and it just gets better and better, just like when we're practicing for context speeches.
Thank you.
And Linda, you've been a VPE so many times, you know that there are speeches, as many of you do online, you know that there are places and pathways that it encourages you to give the speech again. So you get
absolutely.
You get credit. All right, let's go on to stimulating loyalty a little bit more. What are some other ideas? There are a couple of people who are a little social on this. And we have the queen of hostessing, Mary Berg. And I'm going to ask you, Mary, to make some comments after this, but a potluck at members' home. Linda Robinson, I can't begin to tell you how many times I know you've opened your home to have a potluck, and people show up. Tongue tamers, if I'm not mistaken, during the pandemic, didn't you do horse races online? Somebody unmute. Okay. A baseball game. Do any of you remember Lori Shapiro? When she was so active for many years, she would actually take people out to games. Jean Cassidy, if you're still online, if you've gone to games, I know.
Oh, games and whale watching and outside picnics. Lots of different things.
Yes.
We've done the same thing. We actually, I hosted once in my house for barbecue, invited all the members. It was so much fun. And last week, couple of weeks, we were in BJ's. We just came together on the BJ's and it was fun.
Well, and you had a lot to celebrate because you got right down to the deadline, and I think you were missing 2 people and got them at the last minute in order for your membership at the end of the year. So congratulations, tongue tamers. But you know, Linda and I have talked about this, that when you do a social event, it actually strengthens the bonds among members because they have something to talk about at another meeting. Do you remember when? You make memories, you provide opportunities for some growth. And that informal setting, when people let their hair down, they become more chatty. What do you think? Is this the case for you, Shirley? Or I know Julie Murphy, you've been at a number of social events.
Yeah, I think, one of the things about having social events is you get to know your fellow members more and you build a connection with people. And when you build that connection, you look forward to going to your meetings because you look forward to seeing people that you know, and you also feel more of a sense of a commitment because you're like, I don't want to let my friends down.
Exactly. I don't want to let my
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a big one. Well, as we move on, when you say you don't want to let your friends down, the next loyalty has to do with the feeling of belonging and club pride. And I'm wondering, Andrea or Heather or both of you, have you been to a social event? Do you feel when you go to your meeting that it's special and people welcome you when you come in? Do people hug you, shake your hand, ask how your family is, want to know what you've done? What happens that makes you feel that you belong or you have club pride? Andrea, Heather, either one of you?
Hi. Hello?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Was that me you were calling? Good afternoon, Toastmaster.
Yes, Andrea.
Hi, my name is Andrea Hedrington,
Oh,
and I am a proud member of a brand new member, really, less than 6 months of Toastmasters Tropical Eloquence on St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. Very exciting. I joined in March seeking really elder companionship and to learn how to carry myself in a better way in public speaking wise. And I have always felt welcome in my club from day one. Stephanie Richardson, who's in charge of the club, Cheryl Mingo, all the ladies have always made me feel incredibly, incredibly welcome. So yes, my club is very welcoming. Thank you.
So that tells me that every time you meet, you go out of your way to make sure that you're there on time.
Yes, this club is actually quite strict on the 6 o'clock sharp start hour. I think the latest we've started in my presence has been 6:03, 6:05, and that was because in the Virgin Islands we are wrought with power outages. So sometimes that has an impact on our Zoom call meetings and us just getting down to the location. However, it is a very tightly run club. 6 p.m. sharp, generally just a few minutes after 7:30. After the club, there's always hugs and conversations. I am really looking forward to my growth there. I'm also already been voted secretary of my club. So that is also a great endeavor, which brings me here to this training.
So Andrea, thank you and congratulations. 6 months is not a long time. However, have you seen not just the friendships that you were looking for, that companionship that you mentioned, but have you found that you have less filler words and it's easier to speak?
Absolutely. I am still learning the art of the pause and just owning those moments as I think instead of saying, I've already noticed my gestures much improved. As a matter of fact, last meeting on Wednesday, I redid my speech from before because I did not feel that I did it well enough. So yes, I do feel much growth with this group.
Excellent. Heather, did you want to comment also about the feeling? How do you feel with Club Pride?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, I'm traveling today, and so I'm I keep on coming in and out, so I didn't know how great that you could hear me on my phone. I'm on my Android right now. I'm trying to talk to you guys. But I do love my club. I'm a new member too, and they just voted me in to be the membership, the VP of membership, and so I'm really excited to get this chance with Schneider Electric North America out in California. We're very excited, and I look forward to it. I feel like it's been very wonderful getting to meet and know so many new people. We do it online, so we're not in person, but it's okay. We still have a lot of fun. We have a great time doing it. Each meeting we have, some people aren't able to come. We know how to improvise. We know how to take on more than one role at a time. Sometimes we'll do 2 or 3 or 4 roles if we have to, just to make the club make it through. And we do have people that do the backups too. If someone cancels on a speech, we have some people that, always, they try to have a speech prepared. I've noticed that too. So we try to stay on it very well, but we enjoy our online. I know it's different than being in person, so we don't really have social events per se or anything like that. But I think it's a great idea to kind of do some more things like that to bring us all together and bring us closer. But I've really enjoyed it so far.
So Heather, what you're talking about is that commitment to the cause. And when new people come in, everybody who's currently in your club is going to be able to motivate and engage new people more quickly because of all the hard work you're doing. So well done.
Thank you so much.
There is something that happened as you're a general evaluator and you look around a room and you look at who's in a room. A couple of weeks ago, the one thing that stood out to me, and it was in the club called Coast Masters, was it's in a small pilot house near the ocean. It's up a flight of stairs and it's not easy to find. And as I walked up the stairs at 6:45 in the morning, and I'm not a morning person for Toastmasters, there was this huge sign that said, "Welcome to Toastmasters, Club such and such, Coastmasters." I knew I was in the right place. I walked in and there was signage all around waiting for us to pick up our names and sit down at the table. The table was set. There was a centerpiece, there was a tablecloth, there was all the voting implementations. That feeling, when you walk into a place, when you walk into a party, think about when you're invited to someone's home and you walk in and they greet you. That's how I think a sergeant at arms contributes. And I do think that that stimulates loyalty. And if there's anybody, I know, Linda, you've been a sergeant at arms, Diana D, Mary, you've all been sergeant at arms. Any one of you want to comment on this? Because it is an incredibly important role to set the table, set the stage.
Years ago, I used to be a member of a club that it was so much work to set up the meeting. We had a 7 o'clock meeting in the morning at a restaurant, and they opened up early for us. There was so much work to do in order to get the meeting set up before people came in, that it took 2 of us, and we worked hard for at least 30 minutes before anybody else would arrive. We made sure that the places were set with a note place for everyone to vote, everyone to make comments, everybody to have a place at the table. And there were 40 people coming, and both of us made sure that the person who was the greeter was there because the greeter had to shake hands with everybody who came in, except the greeter would sit down at the time of the meeting beginning, and anybody who arrived late would not be able to shake the hands of the greeter. And I didn't like that so much because one of the problems that people get is pressure to arrive on time. And to arrive on time, sometimes at 7 o'clock in the morning is difficult because you got to wake up at 5:30 in order to get there.
You're going to have to get Heather to help you out with that one.
What I did when one person showed up who was very shy about walking in the door is I led applause for her to come, and everybody stood up because she was there to save that embarrassment.
Thank you, Mary. Linda, you were going to say something? I know, Tony, I'm going to ask you to please take me off spotlight. I can't see people and I cannot see the timing. So and I know I'm getting close to time. So if you would.
Sherri, go ahead and.
I don't think you are spotlighted, Sherri. It's just, and it's probably the way you have set up your vision of the screen, but you're not spotlighted.
And while you're working on that, Sherri, I'll go ahead and mumble through a couple of ideas. I've done officer inductions in the past 3 or 4 weeks, and I enjoy that because the start of mentoring a leadership team in their new term, and the opportunity to explain to the sergeant at arms and the vice president of membership that their connection and their teamwork is really the beginning of club growth. Yes, of course, you have the VPPR, separate thing, but if you can instill that internal ELT, executive leadership team, teamwork, it becomes easier, and it's not just one person's responsibility, because the sergeant at arms is critical in that first impression.
Thank you. So I'm going to move on. Thank you very much. Thank you all. I'm going to move on to a couple of things. I asked people, go back, please, Tony.
Yes, you are in yellow right now.
Yeah, I'm aware.
We're changing things because we don't want the same thing to happen again as before.
Please go back to stealth factor.
How's that?
That one right there. Stay there for a moment.
Well,
I know we started late, and I'm going to try and run through a few things for you. Hopefully some ideas will pop up. Why do members keep coming? That stealth factor. This was something that Dave DeRay told me. He's been a member for 20 odd years. And he said when he's doing taxes for people, all of a sudden that stealth factor of Toastmasters creeps in. People say something and he's able to answer like that. And he attributes that to table topics. The continued clarity of thought. One of the people who competes regularly over the years for contests said that every time a table topics question comes up, he tries to answer it in his head and it gives him inspirations. And by working those table topic questions in his mind, he is quicker. He wants that stimulation, so he shows up every week. Another person, a physician, told me that professionalism requires habits. And this is a quote from that professional doc. He said, Toastmasters is a checkup from the neck up. That is his quote. He said that he learns to practice in a fun and supportive environment. And no matter how much he messes up, he knows it doesn't matter because he's still appreciated. Other reasons to maintain loyalty on the next slide include being able to strengthen your voice. It's a relaxed environment. Look at the picture of Jean right now. She has the most stressful job, and yet she's chill. Mary Berg, the hostess with the mostest, is always going to look chill, but it is an opportunity to practice your voice and be confident and have some fun. I love the next one, witness transitions. There is a woman who is a she is an attorney. And when I met her, she always wore a long coat. It went down to her ankles. It was always a winter coat, and she was hunched over and she would talk like this. Right now, she is leading seminars. I cannot believe it. And you know what she does best? She is a quintessential evaluator, which I believe is one of the toughest jobs you can have. It's taken her 10 years, but not only has she become a great speaker, she now earns a living speaking, and she had no intention of doing it. It's why members keep coming. You build and learn and lean on a core group. This one surprised me the most, and I wonder if you feel this way. It is your second family. How often have you come and given a speech about something that is not working well for you? How often have you asked questions about, I need a termite guy, I have to tent my house? How often have you asked for advice? And how often have you told a sad sack story, gotten hugs, or verbal, we feel it for you? And as you move forward on the slides, Tony, how often have you listened? Go back, please. Don't go past it. How often have you watched somebody give a speech and see how they have done something? I've watched Linda Robinson talk about the tango. I think she's a pretty buttoned up lady, but baby, when she talks about the tango, there is quintessential sex all over the stage. She is everywhere with her hands, with her feet, with that grin, with that smile. How does she do it? And yet when you talk to her afterwards, she's very prim and proper. It's a place to focus. It's a place to quiet your head and practice something that you would like. I think and hope that most of you will think that it's a good place to have a good time. And I don't know about you, but it is a far cry that I would build sustaining friendships, and I mean that sincerely, with people who I never, ever would come in contact with otherwise, if not for Toastmasters. How many of you, show of hands, when you go to a meeting that you didn't want to go to, when you walk out, feel like you can take on the world? I know that's true for me. And that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back. So before I open it up to some other questions, I'd like to go on to the next slide and talk about, if you recall, that elder willow. Some final thoughts for you. My hope is that you found something in this presentation, in our conversations, in talking with one another, in finding out that Heather and Andrea and others are new, and reaching out to them because now you know who they are. You found something that is worthwhile, because focusing on nurturing existing members, welcoming recruits, ensuring new additions, and sharing what's going on means that people are committed. They'll keep coming back. And over time, the efforts that create a cohesive and dedicated community are the things that we've been talking about. And while I know growth is important, and if you have 20 members, you still need several more in order to make that DCP point. And if you only have 8, you still need more. The true strength lies in the unity and the dedication of those who call themselves seasoned Grove gatherers. So I'd like to open it to see if there's anybody else who has a thought or an idea. I did try to run through this a little quickly because I know we started late. I did bring my passport to get in finally. Kathy, you want to lead us through, whoever's got their hand up? David Moore, I've never known you to be quiet.
The only one I see that with their hand up is Mary.
Okay,
and it's physically not on. There's no one else other than Mary I see that has her hand up.
Okay, but hold on, because I called on David Moore.
Okay.
There's something that resonated from this presentation with you? Anything that you'll take forward?
Yes, the one thing you brought up was We used to do this when we had members, we had meetings in person and a guest would attend and a person would sit with them during the meeting, explain parts of the meeting and that kind of a thing. And that was always a great idea. And we lost that when we went online. But now I like this suggestion of having someone partner with them, set up like in the chat session so they can throughout the meeting say, oh, here's what we're doing in table topics. This is why we do this. So that's my takeaway. At least one of the takeaways that I'm going to try in my club is to bring that back, that working with the guests throughout the meeting so they don't get lost as to what's going on.
Thank you. John Horowitz, anything? Not to put you on the spot, but you've been a member for a long time.
Hey, one of the interesting ideas that came from this session is the idea of asking a short question of every member that is not necessarily a table topics question. You don't have to talk for 1 to 2 minutes about burning the toast, but that would certainly get everyone involved. I remember Toastmasters that seemed to have a table topics of everyone in the room, and it was like 20 at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Heather? I know you spoke a little bit before, but is there anything else that you found today that might work for you?
Yes, I really liked how we want to engage, the members we have, but then the guests as well. And I think, adding table topics, adding more to it, is awesome. Just, making it more engaging. I think adding a little at the beginning, like you guys were talking about doing right at introductions, like the kitchen example, what is everybody doing in their kitchen this week? I think that's really fun and creative. And I think if we make table topics more, a little more extra, and we do that at the beginning of the meetings where people have fun, I think that's what it's all about. And that'll that'll increase our membership. It really will. If we make it fun and it's all about the club. It's all about being together and learning from one another, and it's interesting and it's fun. And I really like your ideas, and I'm definitely going to implement them in my club.
Well, as I said in the beginning, I'm tickled that you joined, all of you today. I'm going to turn this back over to Kathy Tipton. Thank you for joining us. And Tony, thank you for hosting us and making this all work. Kathy?
Thank you, Sherri. Thank you, Linda. We appreciated your work and effort that you put in today, and even with the technical difficulties we had, you got your message across to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our session today, and to thank our speaker, please provide your feedback using the link in chat that our tech master will be dropping in there. I've also put in the links and the documents for Sherri that she asked me to put in. So if you want to save your chat, you can have the links and the documents also too. So please download them before you leave today.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Linda. And thank you all of you for attending and participating.
Oh, look at all the hearts. How nice. Thank you very much. We have lots and lots of hearts for you. I got to get it in the right direction.
Technical note for EONet. I believe that everyone will receive an email with the survey or the poll. Is that correct?